My name is Stephen Rea. I'm a friend of Notre Dame and of the beautiful Newman Church. And this piece that I'm about to read by James Joyce, I believe it's the single most important passage in Irish literature. It takes place in the still intact physics theatre in Newman's University, where the preternaturally intelligent Stephen Dedalus is in conversation with a pretty thick English Jesuit, but still feels humiliated, which really is the colonial condition. The trees in Stephen's Green were fragrant of rain, and the rain-sodden earth gave forth its mortal odour, a faint incense rising upward through the mould from many hearts. The soul of the gallant venal city which his elders had told him of had shrunk with time to a faint mortal odour rising from the earth, and he knew that in a moment when he entered the sombre college he would be conscious of a corruption other than that of Buck Egan and Burnchapel Whaley. It was too late to go upstairs to the French class. He crossed the hall and took the corridor to the left which led to the physics theatre. The corridor was dark and silent, but not unwatchful. Why did he feel that it was not unwatchful? Was it because he had heard that in Buck Whaley's time there was a secret staircase there? Or was the Jesuit house extraterritorial, and was he walking among aliens? The Ireland of Tone and of Parnell seemed to have receded in space. He opened the door of the theatre and halted in the chilly grey light that struggled through the dusty windows. A figure was crouching before the large grate, and by its leanness and greyness he knew that it was the Dean of Studies lighting the fire. Stephen closed the door quietly and approached the fireplace. "Good morning, sir. Can I help you?" The priest looked up quickly and said, "One moment now, Mr. Dedalus, and you will see. There is an art in lighting fire. We have the liberal arts and we have the useful arts. This is one of the useful arts." "I will try to learn it," said Stephen. "Not too much coal," said the Dean, working briskly at his task. "That is one of the secrets." He produced 4 candle butts from the side pockets of his soutane and placed them deftly among the coals and twisted papers. Stephen watched him in silence. Kneeling thus on the flagstone to kindle the fire, and busied with the disposition of his wisps of paper and candle butts, he seemed more than ever a humble server making ready the place of sacrifice in an empty temple, a Levite of the Lord. The Dean rested back on his hunkers and watched the sticks catch. Stephen, to fill the silence, said, "I'm sure I could not light a fire." "You're an artist, are you not, Mr. Dedalus?" said the Dean, glancing up and blinking his pale eyes. "The object of the artist is the creation of the beautiful. What the beautiful is another question." He rubbed his hands slowly and dryly over the difficulty. "Can you solve that question now?" he asked. "Aquinas," answered Stephen, says, "Pulchra sunt quae visa placent." "This fire before us," said the Dean, "will be pleasing to the eye. Will it therefore be beautiful?" "In so far as it is apprehended by the sight, which I suppose means here aesthetic intellection, it will be beautiful. But Aquinas also says, bonum est in quod tendit appetitus. In so far as it satisfies the animal craving for warmth, fire is a good. In hell, however, it is an evil." "Well, quite so," said the Dean. "You have certainly hit the nail on the head." He rose nimbly and went towards the door, set it ajar and said, "A draught is said to be a help in these matters." As he came back to the hearth, limping slightly but with a brisk step, Stephen saw the silent soul of a Jesuit look out at him from the pale, loveless eyes. Like Ignatius, he was lame, but in his eyes burned no spark of Ignatius enthusiasm. Even the legendary craft of the company, a craft subtler and more secret than its fabled books of secret, subtle wisdom, had not fired his soul with the energy of apostleship. It seemed as if he used the shifts and lore and cunning of the world as bidden to do for the greater glory of God, without joy in their handling or hatred of that in them which was evil, but turning them with a firm gesture of obedience back upon themselves. And for all this silent service, it seemed as if he loved not at all the Master, and little, if at all, the ends he served. The Dean returned to the hearth and began to stroke his chin. "When may we expect to have something from you on the aesthetic question?" he asked. "From me?" said Stephen in astonishment. "I stumble on an idea once a fortnight if I'm lucky." "These questions are very profound, Mr. Dedalus," said the Dean. "It is like looking down from the cliffs of Moher into the depths. Many go down into the depths and never come up. Only the trained diver can go down into those depths and explore them and come to the surface again." "If you mean speculation, sir," said Stephen, "I also am sure that there is no such thing as free thinking, inasmuch as all thinking must be bound by its own laws." "Ha! For my purpose, I can work on at present by the light of one or two ideas of Aristotle and Aquinas. I quite see your point. I need them only for my own use and guidance until I have done something for myself by their light. If the lamp smokes or smells, I shall try to trim it. If it does not give light enough, I shall sell it and buy another." "Epictetus also had a lamp," said the Dean, "which was sold for a fancy price after his death. It was the lamp he wrote his philosophical dissertations by. You know Epictetus?" "An old gentleman," said Stephen coarsely, "who said that the soul is very like a bucketful of water." "He tells us in his homely way," the Dean went on, "that he put an iron lamp before a statue of one of the gods, and that a thief stole the lamp. What did the philosopher do? He reflected that it was in the character of a thief to steal, and determined to buy an earthen lamp next day instead of the iron lamp." "I meant a different kind of lamp, sir," said Stephen. "Undoubtedly," said the Dean. "One difficulty," said Stephen, "in aesthetic discussion is to know whether words are being used according to the literary tradition or according to the tradition of the marketplace. I remember a sentence of Newman's in which he says of the Blessed Virgin that she was detained in the full company of the saints. The use of the word in the marketplace is quite different. I hope I am not detaining you." "Oh, not in the least," said the Dean politely. No, said Stephen, smiling. "I mean, oh, yes, I see," said the Dean quickly. "I quite catch the point. Detain." He thrust forward his underjaw and uttered a dry, short cough. "To return to the lamp," he said, "the feeding of it is also a nice problem. You must choose the pure oil, and you must be careful when you pour it in not to overflow it, not to pour in more than the funnel can hold." "What funnel?" asked Stephen. "The funnel through which you pour the oil into your lamp." "That," said Stephen, "is that called a funnel? Is it not a tundish?" "What is a tundish?" "That. The funnel." "Is that called a tundish in Ireland?" asked the Dean. "I never heard the word in my life." "It's called a tundish in Lower Drumcondra," said Stephen, laughing, "where they speak the best English." "A tundish," said the Dean reflectively. "That is a most interesting word. I must look that word up. Upon my word, I must." His courtesy of manner rang a little false, and Stephen looked at the English convert with the same eyes as the elder brother in the parable may have turned up on the prodigal. A humble follower in the wake of clamorous conversions, a poor Englishman in Ireland, he seemed to have entered on the stage of Jesuit history when that strange play of intrigue and suffering and envy and struggle and indignity had been all but given through. A latecomer, a tardy spirit. The Dean repeated the word yet again. "Tundish, well, now that is interesting. The question you asked me a moment ago seems to me more interesting. What is that beauty which the artist struggles to express from lumps of earth?" said Stephen coldly. The little words seemed to have turned a rapier point of his sensitiveness against this courteous and vigilant foe. He felt with a smart of dejection that the man to whom he was speaking was a countryman of Ben Jonson. He thought, the language in which we are speaking is his before it is mine. How different are the words home, Christ, ale, master on his lips and on mine. I cannot speak or write these words without unrest of spirit. His language, so familiar and so foreign, will always be for me an acquired speech. I have not made or accepted its words. My voice holds them at bay. My soul frets in the shadow of his language.